What's up, guys? Joel the Troll here, and today I want to do something really unique for this total drama video. One really good YouTuber out there that does total drama content is Vice Noge, and he does these videos where he talks about what if certain situations in total drama did not take place. How different would things have been if something didn't happen? So today I want to do something similar to that, and I want to see what things would have been like in total drama if Heather was to get eliminated earlier than expected. So some of you guys are wondering how early are we talking about? And I'm talking about specifically very early, and I'm talking episode 5 in Not Quite Famous. And I'll get into it as we go into the elimination order, but before we do it, let's get rid of the characters that were already eliminated ahead of time. For example, Ezekiel still gets eliminated in episode 1, and then you have Eva getting eliminated in episode 3. Episode 2 is when Ezekiel gets eliminated, so we can delete episode 1. And then let's see, episode 4 is when Noah gets eliminated. Where is he? There we go. So now we go to episode 5. Let's bring everyone up. My god, my bad, guys. This is my first time actually doing one of these type of vids. Alright, so there we go. Episode 5. Now, this is interesting. So, to those who don't know, Justin gets eliminated in this episode, but Heather was on thin ice too, and the reason why was because she ends up reading Gwen's diary to the whole world in this episode, and it looked like she was about to get eliminated until she was able to convince people like Owen and Izzy to team up with her and vote off Justin instead. Now, it's moments like this where I feel like the show is just coming up with the most randomest of situations to get Heather to stay in the game, and I understand it because she is the main antagonist, so they want to keep her around for as long as possible because she helps bring the drama to the show. But hypothetically speaking, like, what if she wasn't able to craft up this interesting way to stay in the game? Like, what if nobody decided to team up with her and everybody voted her off? Well, let's figure it out. So, because of that, Heather takes the fall in episode 5, and this is the way how both teams look as we head into episode 6. Let's bring everyone up. So let's see, episode 6 is when the campers go outdoors for this next challenge. And this is where things will get interesting. I'm gonna say it like this. Because Heather is out for this challenge, it doesn't play too much of an impact simply because of the fact that Katie and Sadie does get lost in this episode, and that's what causes the Bass to lose. So because of that, I still think the Bass would lose this episode. Now, the question is who gets eliminated for the Killer Bass, and that would be none other than Katie or Sadie, and we're just gonna keep it at Katie because that was who they originally eliminated in this episode. So nothing really changed in this one. Now, episode 7 is the phobia factor episode. So let's see, how would this work? So in this challenge, basically everyone did their thing. So one person who's in this game who wasn't in it before is Justin. Now we don't know exactly what his phobia is. However, I will say the Screaming Gophers would win this challenge. The reason why was because they had already took out the Killer Bass in the original episode, and it wasn't really close. The score was, I think, 7-3 Gophers, and it was such a bad score for the Bass that Chris told Courtney, "Hey, if you jump in the pool of jelly, then we'll tie the game up for you guys or whatever." So I don't think nothing would change. Courtney still wouldn't jump in the jelly, and the Gophers would probably still win this because the score would be considerably what's we're looking for lopsided in their favor. So because of that, I do have the Gophers winning this. And let's see who would get eliminated. Now, there's still the same people from the Killer Bass that would have been there in the original episode. So I would honestly say Tyler would get eliminated in this episode just because. So we're gonna give the L to Tyler here. And we haven't really seen any major changes yet, but hopefully that changes soon. So episode 8. What happens in episode 8? I believe that is the I think that's the which episode? Episode 8. That is all right. So episode 8, that is Up the Creek, and to those who don't know, that's the episode where they head over to Boney Island. In this episode, this is where Izzy gets eliminated. So let's see what happens. Now, everything is still somewhat the same. Obviously, the only difference is that instead of Heather being here, you have Justin. Um Now this is where would anything really change? Let's see. I don't think so. I mean, what would change? Because I feel like nothing would stop them from getting to the island on time. I really don't think nothing bad happens. It's episode 9 where things really start to pick up. But in episode 8, I don't know. I think if I had to guess, I'm gonna say Izzy gets eliminated in this episode regardless. I mean, she will come back, we know this, but I think nothing changes. And to be fair, like she would. I mean, the RCMP did catch up to her. They just so happened to be at the elimination ceremony, so I don't think it really would have mattered if the Gophers had won or lost this episode. So why not? So yeah, there's it. My bad. There is Izzy for episode 8, and now let's go to episode 9. This is where Heather's elimination is really felt because this is the paintball deer hunter episode, and obviously one of the main conflicts that happens in this is Beth deciding to go against Heather, but because Heather isn't here, exactly what happens now? Now, it should be mentioned that Beth still has that thing that she took from Boney Island in the last episode. So you could also blame this as a reason why they're still on the losing streak, the same losing streak they were on in the original episodes. So I have the Gophers losing this one just because she has the totem. What I don't even know what it really was, but whatever the thing it was that she took from Boney Island, she still has it with her, and that's the reason they're on this losing streak because their losing streak didn't end until after she got eliminated in the show. So, but yeah, anyways, they lose this one, and now the question is who gets eliminated? Now, well, let's see. Cody gets eliminated in this episode, but I don't know. Would things kind of shape up differently if it wasn't for Heather's elimination? I mean, let me see. So Gwen, Owen, Lindsay, Cody, Justin. Well, here's the thing, because it's kind of a messy situation, because the only reason why Cody got mauled by the bear, which was the reason why he got eliminated, was simply due to the fact that he was eating those barbecue chips. I mean, that was the reason why he got eliminated, right? Like, I know they said he was kind of useless in the challenges, but still. And I mean, here's the thing. He was eating the barbecue chips that led to him getting mauled by the bear. And the thing is, he wouldn't have had access to those barbecue chips if Beth never got it for Heather. So because of that, Cody probably doesn't get mauled thanks to Heather's elimination earlier. So this is where it gets tough. What exactly would go down in this episode? I don't know. And it's kind of tough because you do have Justin in here. Like, you don't know exactly what would happen. I'm going to say it like this. I'm going to say that in this episode, because Beth still has that thing with her and the team is still cursed, I guess, the Screaming Gophers are going to lose. Now, who's going to get eliminated? You see, it's so hard to tell because it goes back to the fact that There's no fight between the girls because Heather isn't there to stir things up. And there's also the fact that Cody doesn't get mauled by a bear because he doesn't have any barbecue chips to eat that would attract the bear in the first place. I really don't know, honestly. If I had to guess, let me see. Who would it actually get eliminated in this episode? Who really struggled? I think that's the question that we should answer. Who really struggled in this episode and deserved to get eliminated? Now we know Gwen and Trent, they never got shot by any hunters. Owen was struggling big time, so maybe we could put him on the chopping block. So we'll put him up there. Let's see. Lindsay and Beth, I mean, we don't know what goes on with them now that Heather isn't there. That's another interesting thing to think about, that there won't be any more alliances between those three contestants. I don't know. If anything, this is really tough. I'm going to say because, I mean, Heather was really the only villain on that team, so I don't think they really have a motive to vote anyone off. I'm going to say they vote off Cody again. The reason why, and I hate it because I don't think I've had a different elimination just yet aside from Heather's, is because they did make a whole deal about how Cody was kind of useless in the challenges lately. So I don't know, maybe that doesn't change despite the fact that he doesn't get mauled by the bear. So I'm gonna leave it like that. This is kind of a little too tough to decide on. Now, episode 10 is If You Can't Take the Heat. Now, this is where things get interesting because Heather was the one that was trying to lead the Gophers, and they lose this episode, and it's Beth who gets eliminated. Now, I'm gonna say she still gets outed for the totem pole, or I'm gonna call it the totem pole, the thing that she brought from Boney Island with her. Now, the question is, if Beth, okay, so who exposes Beth for putting out the totem pole? I'm gonna say it's gonna be one of the other contestants, just because it's not like she was hiding it or anything. It was Chris who was sitting at the table where it was present, so maybe he sees it and wonders what it was. In other words, I think even though Heather wasn't there to question why this totem pole was there, someone else would do so. So there you go. I think Beth would get eliminated in this episode, just the way how it was originally. And this is where I think things are going to get different. So let's kind of see what goes on from here. Hopefully, y'all, we can start shaping things up differently. Episode 11. This is where we have, let's see, Who Can You Trust? And this was the episode where Sadie gets eliminated. Now, let's see. Hmm. So, in the original challenge, obviously the Gophers win this. Now, would they still win it in this type of situation? Now, let's see. Would Justin make much of a difference compared to Heather? Now, let's see. Because let's see. So as we know, the Screaming Gophers won the first challenge thanks to Heather and Gwen. Now Heather is not there, so the question is, would they be able to win it either way? Now, this is where I'm not sure about. Let's see. They were the ones to win it. The next one, the Killer Bass won, and it was that cooking episode. I don't know, there was a lot of challenges that went on. The cooking episode, and then the one where they were doing the trapeze or whatever you call it, where they were doing it over the eels and stuff. And Heather wasn't there for that one either. I don't know. I don't know about this one. I'm gonna say, because here's the thing, right? The thing with Heather is that I feel like she would have been able to help the team out in this type of episode simply because she did have her moments. At least that's what I think. I don't know. Because let's think about it. Would Sadie still get eliminated in this episode? I don't know, because She probably would if the Killer Bass was to lose this episode, but that's the thing though. Does the Killer Bass actually lose? I don't know if Heather's absence would play too much of an impact, but I could be wrong. Because Beth is out, and she no longer provides the curse to the team, I guess you could round that up to be a reason why the Gophers would win this. So I don't know. I'll just put Sadie there just because. So episode 11, Sadie. I don't want to overthink it too much, but yeah. Episode 12 is basic straining. And let's see. I think the episode goes exactly the way how it was before. This is another thing that I hate because in basic straining, I mean, Heather didn't play a big role in this episode. It was Gwen that led the team to victory, and we know what happens. Harold gets Courtney eliminated. So I have no choice but to put Courtney there just because. Now, episode 13 is now where things are really going to pick up because in episode 13, this is where Heather was able to throw Harold off in the tie-breaking challenge when she was able to distract him and he drops all of his flags. Now, because of this, I say that the Killer Bass would win this episode simply because had it not been for Heather distracting Harold, Heather would have been able to pull it off. So, I mean, well, not Harold would have been able to pull it off for the Killer Bass, and they probably would have won. Even though Lindsay did do really good herself, I think the Killer Bass would have been able to take over. So the question is, if the Killer Bass wins, who from the Screaming Gophers get eliminated? Let's see. I don't think it would be Gwen. I don't think it would be Owen. If I had to guess, it's gonna be either. Well, not even either. I feel like would they vote off Justin? I mean Trent. I don't think they would vote him off. I know they kind of did him dirty by getting him badly injured in this episode. Well, DJ specifically, because he accidentally shoved him off the plane. I'm gonna say it's Justin because the thing with Justin is that Justin is not really that athletic of a competitor. I mean, we've seen him do things in the past, but in this type of challenge, I feel like he's just not going to be able to do much because like I said, he's not really known more for being the athletic competitor, and that's going to lead to his downfall here. But considering the fact that he got eliminated in episode 5 in TDI, the original TDI, I think this is very generous for him. So in episode 13, I got Justin getting eliminated. So now here we go. Let me change this up. All right. So these are our two teams heading into, let's see, Brunch of Disgustingness. Now, as we know, the Brunch of Disgustingness is a non-elimination one, so it doesn't really matter. So this is what we're looking at heading into the merge. Now it is also important to mention that Eva and Izzy are back. So let's put them up in here. Eva, Izzy, and also let's put everyone into one column because like I said, this is the merge now. Merge, and we'll delete this. All right, so there we go. So these are our 11 contestants. I believe, I don't know, I don't got time to count. I believe 12, I think. All right, 12 contestants, whatever. So episode 15, we have no pain, no game. And the only difference between this and the original is there really any difference between this and the original? I mean, okay, so Harold is here. Harold is here and he didn't make the merge in the original one, in the original Total Drama Island. So there is that. And I don't know. I think Eva probably gets eliminated in this episode too, simply because of the fact that at the end of the day, people were just annoyed by her and they saw her as a major threat because that's simply what she was. And it also didn't change the fact that she was getting under the skin of people like Bridget and Lashana. So I believe she does get eliminated in this episode as Lashana gets immunity. So we'll put Eva over here. let's move on to the next one. In episode 16, this is Search and Do Not Destroy. Now, this is where things get really interesting because Heather is not here to kiss Trent. So Trent doesn't get eliminated in this episode, in my opinion. Now, this is where things really begin to spice up. So the question is, if Heather isn't here and she's not there to kiss Trent, then who would exactly get eliminated? And it's tough because there really isn't any villain on here that you could really pick off like that. I don't know who would they pick off. Let's see. I don't think they would pick off Gwen. I don't think. Let's see. There was an alliance that was gonna form in the following episode, but I don't want to get into that just yet until we address this. If I have to pick, let's see. In episode 16, that is Search and Do Not Destroy, when they're trying to get the keys and everything, who would they eliminate and why? Now, I don't know. Now, alliances can still form. I think Gwen and Trent would have their own thing going on with each other. Let's see. Put them over here. Now, what about the rest of the cast? Who would Duncan team up with? Well, would Duncan team up with anyone? I don't know. And Gwen and Trent being an alliance is huge because I know that was something that Heather mentioned in the original series as why she had to kiss Trent, just to break up whatever alliance that could potentially happen between him and Gwen. So I don't know who would actually get eliminated in this episode. Like, we got Harold in the mix, but I don't think he would exactly do anything wrong to get involved in any of this. I mean, I really don't know. This is kind of the tougher ones because this it was easier to call who would get eliminated because Heather does what she ends up doing. And who would even that's the question. Who exactly would gain immunity because it was such a random way to get it. This is such a tough one. If I had to pick, I'm not really going to look at who wins immunity because it's such a random one, unless you want to say Harold wins immunity and takes Heather's place since he's the only one on here that's in the merge that shouldn't be in it, that wasn't in it in the original series, so maybe he takes Heather's place and gains immunity through that challenge. Let me see. But who would get eliminated though? If I had to guess, and it's a really close call. Like who honestly deserves to get eliminated? I really don't know. If I have to pick, I'm going to go like I really don't know which one to pick. I don't think Jeff or Owen. Well, maybe Owen, I don't know. If I have to pick, I'm going to say, well, who did Gwen and Trent did not like? Because whoever they vote for could possibly decide who gets eliminated altogether. Let's see. I don't think they would try to team up and vote for DJ or someone like that. If I had to pick, if I had to, I'm going to say they vote for Izzy. I'm gonna leave it at there. I think they vote for Izzy simply because they think that Homegirl is crazy and that at this point, why not? But I really don't want to base it off of that because this is such a wild one. Because who would they vote off, honestly? Like Gwen and Trent. I mean, who else would form an alliance in this episode? Like, I know there's the guys alliance, but that doesn't come until the episode after. So I don't know. I'm gonna simply say, I mean, is there anyone else they could eliminate in this situation? Or you know what? Could we throw Harold in here at this point? I don't know. I'm going to say, because it was either Trent or Heather that was going to get the boot. Obviously, Heather didn't get eliminated simply because of the fact that she had immunity. So I'm going to say that it's going to end up being Okay, yeah. I'm just gonna say Izzy gets eliminated just because I say that Lindsay Izzy still helps Lindsay, but Lindsay gets, stung by the bees and stuff, so she's like, you know what? I really don't want to put up with her anymore, so let's vote her off. And I think everyone probably might vote her off just because she does seem like a threat. So this is a random one, but I'm just gonna go Izzy just because. So episode 17, let's see, is hide and be sneaky. And this is where Bridget gets eliminated. Now, there was the guys' alliance that happened in the original episode. And let's see, how much people is left? 10. And I think we have an even number of guys and girls. The reason why I bring this, not even, I think there's six guys and four girls. So the reason why I bring this up is because the reason why the guys formed an alliance in the original episode was because they were outnumbered by the number of girls that were remaining in the show. So, does the alliance actually take place now? And I don't think they would do it. Two people that are in this episode that wasn't in this episode originally was Trent and Harold, so there is that to think about. I don't think the alliance takes place, especially because the girls are outnumbered. If anything, I'm gonna say the opposite happens. I say the girls form an alliance. So let's make it happen. Gwen, Bridget, Heather, and Lindsay. I still think Lindsay. I still think Lashana gains immunity, and I think what will happen is that they're gonna vote Duncan off. I got Duncan getting eliminated in this because they were all planning on voting. My bad. They were all planning on voting for him originally, so I think they will do it this in this type of situation just because they view him as a threat. And you know what? Why not? So I'm gonna have Duncan get eliminated in this episode because I feel like that would be the ideal target for the girls in this alliance of theirs. So there's that. Duncan finishing at episode 17. Episode 18 is That's Off the Chain. Now, this is weird because this is where the bike race takes place and everything. Heather obviously played a huge role in this episode. Who would get eliminated? Now it's tough to tell because there's so much weird rules in this episode. Now let's see. Izzy is eliminated, so that means Lashana would probably Lashana would take part in this race because she wouldn't go on that wild adventure she went on with Izzy as we saw in the original episode. Um let's see. It's also fair to mention that obviously Lindsay doesn't go through the drama she goes through with Heather. Hmm. Now let's see. How would they all do? Now Trent would probably do okay. We'll see about it. Harold, on the other hand, he's known for being a very smart competitor regarding being very knowledgeable. So I think he would probably do fine in making his own bike. Let's see. And then everyone else would do the way how they would do in the original one. Bridget, how would Bridget do? I think Bridget, I think, would probably flop in this one, like some of the other contestants did. Now, the question is who would get eliminated? So, in the final bike race, Owen, it was Owen, Lindsay, and Duncan and Heather who made it in the final round, which was where the eliminations took place. Owen and Lindsay are the only one of the four that's still here, so there's that. Would anyone else join them? I'm gonna say, let's see. So it's up to Bridget, Harold, and Trent. One of those three. I think everyone else who didn't make it, or maybe Lashana too, because since Lashana is here, maybe she does well. I'm gonna say her bike also messes up and she doesn't make it to the final round simply because of the fact that she seemed very clueless on how to make her bike. Like I know she was very confused on which parts were used in making one. So I think she probably wouldn't make it to the final round either. Would I think Harold would make it to the finals, and I think Trent probably would not. Would Bridget make it? Now, Bridget is very good with sports. You know, that's the thing about her is that aside from Eva, she's probably one of the more athletic competitors in Total Drama. Her and Lashana, but obviously Lashana does not count in this situation just because I'm gonna say she makes it. So we're gonna have a three. Do we want to do three, or should we add a fourth person just because there was four in the final race? Let's see. You know what? We'll okay, yeah. You know what? We'll do four. So it was Harold, Bridget, Lindsay, and who else was in there? Owen. So I'm gonna say Owen still gets in the crash. I mean, there's no reason why any of these people that are absent would lead to him not getting into the crash that he got into in that final race. Let's see. I think Lindsay would get immunity because she doesn't have to throw the challenge just so Heather could win it. So, in my opinion, it's either up to Harold or Bridget. Now, Harold has been known for being a bit of a klutz. You know, if you look at some of the crashes and falls he's taken in the past. So, I wouldn't be surprised if something happens similar in this episode. And because of this terrible rule that Chris put in this challenge, I'm going to say Bridget is going to be the one to get eliminated just because of this garbage way that Chris decided to go with in this specific challenge. So Bridget gets eliminated in episode 18. Now, episode 19, that's the hook, line, and screamer episode where they do the horror movie and everything. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting. I think, let's see. Does DJ still get eliminated? I don't know because Heather isn't there to really scare him off. Because I know that was the one thing that really shook him. But at the same time, he was like the most scared competitor of them all. You know, when you look back at this episode. Now, we know Gwen gets immunity, so she wouldn't be considered as an option of someone to get eliminated. I'm gonna say DJ still gets eliminated just because he was more scared than any other competitor by the time this episode came around. So we'll go with DJ. Episode 20, Wawanakwa Go Wild, Gone Wild. So I'm gonna say now this is where things get interesting. I'm gonna say who would get eliminated. Let's see. Now, Izzy isn't here, so we can't exactly throw her in the mix. Hmm. Now, Gwen, for some reason, did not gain immunity in the original episode. However, I think she still got it because at the end of the day, it wasn't her who got eliminated. I don't know why they chose to do it like that. So I think, would Gwen get immunity though? Let's see, would the other contestants in here do something to sort of get immunity for themselves? I'm not sure. Now, it is important to mention that the Girl Alliance is still here. So let's see, where's everybody at? Well, actually, everything is kind of in the guys' advantage now. Because now it's 4-3 guys. So let's see. They would still do their alliance, and I think these three would get along very well. And let's see, I don't think they would vote. And well, first of all, let's decide who actually wins. The only different competitors that are in this that were not in the original episode are Trent, Harold, and Lindsay. So there is that to think about. I don't think Lindsay would win it simply because I don't think she would necessarily have the brains to capture whatever animals she would be given. Harold maybe Harold. Trent, on the other hand, I don't. I mean, he could. I feel like he would probably help Gwen if anything. Well, I mean, he still has to catch his own animals, so I don't know. I'm gonna still give it to Gwen, say she gets immunity. In this episode, I'm gonna say the girls team up again, and it's gonna be a random elimination. I don't think they're gonna vote off Trent just because the girls know how close Gwen is with Trent. Um, let's see. Let's see. Who would they vote? I don't think. I mean, I don't think they would necessarily vote for Harold. I mean, it would just seem like a random one to pick. So I'm not gonna say they necessarily pick him off. Jeff or Owen. I think it's gonna be one of those two. Now it is important to mention that they did decide to target Jeff in the original season later on, so maybe they would consider it doing this time around. I don't know because these guys are not exactly villains. I mean, if Duncan was here, you could say they have a motive to pick him off, but he's not in this, so who would they vote off? Like I said, because of how Gwen feels about Trent, I think he will be safe. So it's really between Harold, Jeff, and Owen. I'm going to say that, you know what? I'm going to say that they are going to vote off Jeff. I'm gonna say they do it in this episode specifically, just because I know Gwen wasn't exactly fond of him, and they needed someone to pick off anyways. And I think Lashana wasn't exactly best friends with Jeff either. I mean, I remember in this episode, it's one of those you would have if you blink, you would miss it. Um, Lashana and Jeff got into a small fight, and it was when they were basically having a whole tug of war with some food or whatever. I don't know what it was exactly. So it seemed like there was little conflict there. So maybe the conflict still happens in this episode, and maybe Lashana keeps that in the back of her head, and knowing how competitive, how much of a threat Jeff could be simply because of the fact that he's a guy that everyone can get along with and stuff. They don't want to have to worry about his popularity and stuff, which was the reason why he got eliminated later on in the original series. So I'm going to say they pick off Jeff in this episode. This wasn't an easy one, but Jeff. Now, let me bring him back down and bring the merge up. Now, this is where I think things are going to get a lot tougher for the squad. Just because, ignore the things at the top, obviously, because I was just trying to make a list. Here, I'll just quickly delete it. But until then, this is what we're looking at right now. So the next episode, you have the trial by tri-armed triathlon. Now, who would team up with who in this one? I'm gonna say simply because of the couples, Harold and Lashana. Why can't I make it? Okay, Harold and Lashana, Gwen and Trent, and Owen and Lindsay. Just because. Now, who would win each challenge? Now the eating challenge, because Owen is what he is, I think they would win that. The challenge where they have to throw the thing in there. Now I don't know about that. I think let's see. I think Gwen and Trent would probably win that because the chemistry is there between those two, and I think they wouldn't have any problem winning that one. So I'm gonna give that one to Gwen and Trent. Now, when it comes to the actual, what's it called? The thing where you have to arrange the elimination order from top to bottom, I think Lashana and Harold will win it because of the fact that Harold does know his stuff, and I'm going to rely on his knowledge to really help their team out in this one. And it also doesn't hurt that Lashana also won this challenge originally in that OG episode, so her knowledge would also help out big time as well. So it's another episode where everybody is on the chopping block. Now the question is, who would pick off who in this situation? If I have to pick, and let's see, I'm gonna say it's gonna be something similar to what we saw in the original one. I think Gwen, Lashana, and then Trent would all probably vote for Owen. The reason being is simply because of the fact that he is a threat, and it's similar to the reason why they voted off Jeff in the original episode where he's so popular, everyone likes him, and like I mentioned, the dude is a big threat. You know, there's a reason why he was able to make it as far as he did, and it's because it seems like the dude is basically immune to a lot of things that would gross out or frighten another competitor. So I think they will take care of Owen and get rid of the biggest threat that this game has to offer in him. So he gets eliminated in episode 21, and we head into episode 22, which is the controversial episode, my worst episode ever, because one of my favorite female competitors get eliminated in this, in Lashana. And the heartbreaking thing is, I don't think anything will change in this episode. I really want to say that Lashana is going to make it to the next episode, but it doesn't change the fact that Sadie would still vote for Lashana, and because Heather is there, someone that is bitter rivals with Lashana, she would probably say Lashana's name nonstop until it's guaranteed that Lashana gets eliminated. So heartbreakingly, I have to do it because I do have to, be um I do have to be impartial in this, so I'm gonna put Lashana at episode 22, sadly. So this is our final four heading into this, and this is where things get very interesting. So you got the final four of Trent, Gwen, Lindsay, and Harold. Now, who would get eliminated next? In episode 23, Camp Castaways, well, nobody cares about that episode because it's not an elimination one, except Mr. Coconut. Episode 24, Are We There Yeti? So, are we still going to do boys versus girls in this one? Or are we just going to do Gwen and Trent and Lindsay and Harold? That's the thing I don't know. If I have to, I'm going to say that they're going to do girls versus guys simply because they are interesting duos, and it's kind of a little too predictable to do Trent and Gwen when there's literally zero chemistry between Lindsay and Harold. So we're gonna make that the partners in this challenge. So there's that. Now, who would win? That's the main question. Now, the reason why the girls were able to win the original challenge was because of the fact that Heather was very smart and was able to convince Gwen into tricking the guys, and that's what led to them getting a major advantage over them. However, I don't see Gwen doing this in this type of scenario when she's going off against her own love interest in Trent. Now, I don't know. Now, it is very well known that Harold does have mad skills, I guess you could say. And you can say that those skills can also be used in survival. So, I'm going to say in survival mode. So, I'm going to say I really don't know. I'm gonna say this will give the guys a slight advantage and the girls will actually lose this one. I mean, in the original challenge, it was a close call and the girls almost lose that episode too. The only reason why they don't lose is because Owen goes for the sticky buns that Chef had made. Owen is not here, and I don't think any of these four competitors would care to pick the sticky buns over $1 million. So I have the girls losing this, and I think they're going to vote for. If I have to pick, I'm going to say Lindsay gets eliminated in this episode just because of the fact that I don't know. Would it be Lindsay? I'm going to say it's going to be Lindsay just because of the fact that I don't think Trent would try to vote off Gwen like that when they are very close. So there is that. Now it's time for the I Triple Dog Dare You episode, and this is where I get very confused because I don't know. I don't think Gwen would lose because no, well, here's the thing. Owen is not here to split his freebies with Gwen. But at the same time, Gwen is daring because we can't ignore the fact that the girl literally drank from a toilet in the original episode. I think Trent would be daring enough. Now, Harold, on the other hand, I don't know. Now, let's see. If I had to choose, I think Gwen is going to the finale. I think there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So it's about who she's gonna go off against. Is she gonna go off against Harold or Trent? I don't know exactly who would fumble in this episode. I mean, I really don't know. If I had to choose, because I'm looking at some of the challenges that they did, and if any of them would not do some of the stuff that went down in the episode, I'm going to say that if I have to pick, this is a really tough one. I'm going to say that Trent is going to lose. The reason why I say Trent will lose this is because, well, first of all, I really don't want to do a couples finale. I really don't think it should be like that because I don't think anyone cares if Gwen or Trent wins, because at the end of the day they'll probably split the million. So I'm gonna put Trent here because here's the thing with Trent. One thing you'll notice throughout season one, the original series, is that he's been someone that's broken a lot of bones in some of these episodes. Like there was the episode where he got food poisoned by Lindsay. The episode where this man got a whole concussion and everything from Owen. Like this man's bones have been through a lot, and I just don't know if he can take any more. I just don't think his body will be fit enough to handle everything that's going to be thrown his way. I mean, Harold, I know people will mention the fact that he is scrawny and weaker than Trent, so you could probably say the same thing for him. But he's shown that he's capable of doing stuff even if it requires a lot of physicality. We saw that in the dodgeball episode when he was able to upset the Gophers. We saw that in the what's it called, the episode in which he got eliminated in originally in what was it, extreme torture, the way how he was able to capture as many flags as possible until Heather distracted him. I think he would be able to do okay in this. And honestly, knowing Harold, I mean, he's someone that's been through a lot in his life. I mean, that's been through a lot in his own life. Like, I think he would be able to hold his own in this simply because of the fact that I don't think anything should phase him. So, I'm gonna say Harold will make it to episode 26, aka the finale. So, obviously, it does not matter who wins and who doesn't because of the fact that you have the alternate endings. If I have to choose, I'm going to say Gwen is going to win. I'm just gonna say Gwen because she seemed like the overall best competitor if you look at the way how she played the game. So I'm gonna say Gwen wins it and Harold will finish as runner up. It doesn't matter because y'all know how it is with the alternate endings. We would see versions where Harold would win it too. So overall, that's how it goes. I got Gwen still staying in the finale, and you got Harold making it all the way to the finals. I never thought I would see it go like this, so it's kind of crazy that Heather's elimination would be able to bring him this far. Now, this is just my opinion though, because maybe Harold would get eliminated earlier because there were some times where, as you guys saw, I was very skeptical in how this would go. But I don't know. I took my best shot at it, and this is how I would see a season go if Heather was to get eliminated in episode 5. So, because of that, this is how a whole season of Total Drama would go if Heather got eliminated. He got eliminated early in the season, episode 5 to be exact. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I got a lot more Total Drama content heading your way. And make sure to follow me on Twitter at JoelKJacob _. And make sure, if you can, subscribe to my second channel as well at Heat versus the World. There's a lot of good content I have going on over there if you're a sports fan. But aside from that, that's basically it. So until next time, you guys, take it easy and have a good one.